Did you ever like have any fear going into relationships, knowing that from your experience, your parents' relationship, from what you perceive, wasn't like everyone else's parents, quote unquote?
Yeah.
And I'm just asking because I relate to that kind of fear of like, I never had a good model of this.
Yeah.
Something that I would want.
Mm-hmm.
I never had fear. I always thought that was every marriage. I knew that not everyone's mom was an alcoholic. And my, dads were always, actually, I always grew up thinking like the moms are supposed to stay at home because that's like Mexican culture, like moms always stay at home with the kids, cook, clean, do everything. The guys go to work. And that's just how I grew up. That's all of my family members. That's how it goes. And my past relationships were really like not good. I was only in one really long relationship that was awful, like physical, verbal abuse. And then I broke that off. And then the next one, we kind of just dated and were having fun, but he never really wanted to settle. And I assumed he just didn't like me. So that kind of broke my heart. But then I met AJ and we were just friends. And I never expected it to be a thing, even though I knew this is the guy I want to be with. I just never thought like, but I never dissected the relationship. I just let it be. And I think that's why it worked so well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you have the person that's the one you never like show your friends the text. You never like ask
that was it.
A double, not ever ask for advice. You like are just like moving forward. It's like you're just doing, and it's such a relief, because before you're like, is this right? Is this okay? So he hasn't called, there's that.
Yeah, we never questioned it. And what's crazy is that there would be like a week where he wouldn't text me back, or like I wouldn't text back because I was playing that like, but it wasn't like I was trying to play games. I was just like busy trying to, figure my stuff out because I was going through like this disordered eating phase, and I didn't want to share that. But I also felt comfortable enough saying like, yeah, right now I'm just going through a weird phase, but not really touching on the subject. So I just let it be. And I did not share that relationship with anyone.
Because it's so precious to you. Do you think that the alcoholism like led into the disordered eating, or do you think there's a relationship there?
Yeah, digging deep, like I had to dig deep and like figure out what stemmed that weird relationship with food for me. And it was me trying to control something because I couldn't control my parents. I couldn't control the truth that I was being told or things like that. If that makes any sense.
Of course.
Definitely.
Yes. I really do. I don't blame my mom for it or my dad, but I definitely feel like it stemmed from that. Me not being able to communicate my feelings with someone.
Yeah, for sure.
And when did the disordered eating start?
It started around 21, 22. I noticed me gaining weight. And I'd always
AKA
been
the worst thing in the world.
I'd always been
in your 20s. You're like, ugh.
Yeah,
Did you like, sorry to interrupt.
you're fine.
Did you notice or because I'm thinking back to that time in college and there's like so much going on. And sometimes it's like a moment of either comparison or someone says something. So I'm just curious if it was like just you.
So I never had a butt before. And then all of a sudden my friend's like, wow, you're gaining some weight. Like you have a butt now. You look great. It wasn't like
right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're gaining weight. It was like a solid like, girl, you look good. Like your hips are coming in and you're starting to look like a woman. And I've always been like a straight, like no waist, no butt, hardly any boobs. As I'm fixing my bra because my boobs are halfway out.
But look at me now.
Yeah, right. It's the breastfeeding. But I felt like, wow, I am gaining weight. My body is looking different. I just assumed that my body from high school was going to, be the same as my 20-year-old body and my 30-year-old body, but it's not. And since my mom started drinking at this stage of my life where I was developing and growing up into like a woman, I never had anyone telling me like, these are the things that are going to happen to your body. These are the changes. I just went off by what my friends and I were talking about during that time. But yeah, it was a strange time because I just didn't know. So I started getting on diets and starting to like figure out like, oh, which diet am I going to go to next? It was that sort of thing.
Were you in LA or where were you?
No, I was in Orange County.
Orange County. Okay.
Yeah, the whole time. But I did work at Barney's from when I was 18 to 23.
Oh, fashion world. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. So it was very much like trying on tons of really nice clothes that we only had 0s, 2s, 4s, and 6 out. So you couldn't be any bigger.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Is that still happening at Barney's?
Barney's went out of business.
Oh, it did?
Yeah. Just recently, last year.
And then, so I guess, so with disordered eating, it's so like different, I think, for a lot of people, the way they experience it, the way that it manifests. And for me, mine was so complicated and there were so many different like iterations of it, but mine would be like only eating a certain thing because other things were bad, eating this now and then not allowing myself to eat something else later, or binging and then restriction. And then there was like a lot of labeling of foods and a lot of fear and anxiety around food. What were the experiences that you had with your disordered eating?
That was actually what I went through. So at first it was dieting. So eating lots of like literally half of bag of a granola with yogurt and fruit. And that was my breakfast. And I didn't know, like, hey, it's just like a little bit of granola with like, or, I was just kind of going to town on every food, not because it was quote unquote good or bad, but because I was on this weird diet. I wasn't looking at ingredients. I was just kind of, oh, granola's good. Oh, this oatmeal cookie's good because it's made from oats, or like, and I was just like overly eating. And then after that happened, one of my aunts introduced me to Dr. Perricone, which was like an anti-inflammatory diet that he talks about. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll just eat salad and salmon and oatmeal and egg whites in the morning. And,
classic.
Right?
The classic one.
The classic one.
The classic one.
I went
stalks of asparagus and salmon for dinner.
Exactly.
Asparagus.
Lunch is a salad.
Not to make it a joke, but it's like so crazy. That is
LOL.
That was a whole
time.
phase.
Oh, no carbs, no fats, no nothing. And I was
do
just
it every day for the rest of your life. It's like, okay.
And you're like, how can I? I'm miserable.
What the fuck?
You guys, I literally did that for like 4 months. And I went from like 150 to like 110.
Wow.
I'm not kidding.
How did yeah. I was like, how did you have the willpower? It's like, that's not the willpower, but it's like, I forget when you're disordered.
Oh yeah. When you look at yourself and think, I have this huge body, when you really like, you don't, and your body is changing into like becoming a woman,
Yes.
I just wish I had more like women in my life to tell me, this is healthy.
Right.
This is good. Do you want a family later on in life? Because that matters. Like carrying a little bit of weight, here and there, and having hips, and it's just your body. It's natural.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Morning Microdose by Almost 30.
We hope you enjoyed waking up.
As always, we encourage you to take what resonates and leave the rest. If you enjoyed this trip, tune into the full episode on the Almost 30 podcast. All episode information can be found in the show notes.
Make sure to subscribe, and if this becomes a part of your morning routine, be sure to share it with a friend. We have new inspiring doses Monday through Friday. Follow us on Instagram at Morning Microdose, and follow Almost 30 at Almost 30 Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the vortex.